The recruitment from the football club for a number of years now is absolutely miles off it.
If there's one thing you can guarantee after a Rangers defeat, it's a Kris Boyd meltdown. Welcome back to Fog Football, and we're going to go through the entire script, the entire conversation that Kris Boyd had with Sky Sports Football. Of course, he was partnered by Chris Sutton and Joe Lewis. Tragic thing about this is Chris Sutton, he's not even resorted to many digs these days because Rangers are doing all the digging themselves. But of course, Aberdeen, they were chanting towards Big Phil, serenading the man with "You're getting sacked in the morning." Kris Boyd ended up agreeing with them, and he was asked if the fans would agree with that, and this is what Boyd said: "No, again, it's just excuses." End of quote. That's to do with the fact that Clement said its best performance, not the whole "you're getting sacked in the morning," because you'll find that most of us would absolutely agree with that sentiment because it just has to be. But this is what Kris Boyd went on to say. The longer the interview went on, the more excuses were coming out. Whatever you want to speak about the result is all that matters. Another big game. What is it that you've lost, 3 of your opening 10? Drew one as well? It's not good enough. You speak about improvement, I don't see it. Aberdeen have recruited and built this squad with less than 2 million and lost their best player. Rangers have spent an absolute fortune and they are in worse in every position. They have downgraded in every single position. And this whole thing of kicking the can down the street, we were told that Rangers would be 200, 300% better come October, November. Whoa. End of quote.
He's just waffling through interviews.
You said that.
Chris Sutton then chimed in. He said, "It's not embarrassing, the interview." Well, it is embarrassing, but it's more delusional. I mean, what is he talking about? End of quote. Yeah, the interviews are ridiculous for Clement, pretending that it's the best performances that you'll ever see, and well, not like this season, I mean, like one of, and the whole get better come October and November. It's an absolute pipe dream. As we've said previously, are Rangers better in October than they were in pre-season? No, they're not, honestly. Like, if you're losing in pre-season against the likes of Ajax and United, like by narrow defeats, which were really poor in itself, by the way. Was Ajax was narrow, wasn't it? It was, really narrow defeats. And then come October time, you're losing to Aberdeen and Kelly, comprehensively, bear in mind. I mean, without really laying a glove on them. How's that 200, 300% better? Alright, competitive games and all that. Rangers are not better. You know what I mean? There's a case for them that were worse. And that's all these players bedding in. It's pathetic. Joe Lewis then added, "If I'm a Rangers fan, that is the most worrying thing that I have seen today." So Joe Lewis is... don't even know why Joe Lewis was there, to be honest, because it's the Rangers show. Boyd then said, "Even the Rangers fans with blue tinted glasses can see through this now. This ain't working. You can understand if there are players getting better, but Aberdeen deserve to win tonight. Hearts 0-0 at the start of the season. Kelly deserved to win against Rangers. The budgets are absolutely nowhere near Rangers. Even if you're downgrading and cutting back, it's a will to go and win a game of football, and Rangers are severely lacking in that." End of quote. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to get to budget talk, which always seems to be the case in Europe when Rangers or Celtic take on like a team, it's the same in Scotland, man. Rangers, look at Rangers are spending and the wage bills and what their revenues are compared to like Kelly, Aberdeen and Hearts, which they've dropped points to this season. It is absolutely night and day. Sutton then chimed in again. "The question is, Chris, do you trust him? Some of his behaviour and stuff he has said all season has been erratic, like getting the bunting out for beating Ross County 6-0, going back to Ibrox after they had their pants pulled down by Celtic and saying, 'We had many shots as Celtic,' doing the can in press conferences. Then you have to listen to that. He is talking about the next transfer window. Would you really trust him to sign anybody in January? The bigger question is why did Rangers let this guy sign a new contract on the eve of the season? It then lets this guy have all the power." End of quote. It's like, why did Rangers let him re-sign a new contract, man? It is absolutely petrifying.
But
what's more baffling to me is he just keeps having these mad rants this season. I don't think.
Kris Boyd then tagged himself back in and said, I think the new contract was all about perception because everyone was against Rangers saying we are backing our manager. The termination clause will be the same. It just looks better. For me, Clement will be the man who fronts up right now. But Ross Wilson got a lot of the stick for his recruitment. But what is Niels Cotton doing? He was a scout at PSV, a scout. And now he's heading up one of the biggest clubs in Europe under pressure to get players in. For me, there's nothing to suggest in this transfer window Rangers will bring in better players because the recruitment for a number of years has been miles off it. In terms of the budget, blame cutbacks all you want, but there's still money being spent. Diamonde costs 4, Yefte 1, Cortez who they need to buy, but we've hardly seen. Igamane, a project, 1.75 million. The list goes on. Someone needs to get a grip of it. Sutton says, you say get a grip of it. What needs to happen? Does Philip Clement need to go? Boyd concede it. We know how football works. And yeah, for me, yes, he does. It's time to go. End of quote. Well, I had the time to go bit in there, but it's done. You know, it has to be the end. But the reality is it won't be the end. Clement will stay. I mean, what gives me hope is the fact that Boyd says he talks. He oh, I don't even know, man. I don't even know, but the fact that Boyd says like, oh, you know, his contract won't be worth that much, so that gives me hope. You know what I mean? But honestly, I'm yawning away here. I'm tired of this team. What's the end game? Are we going to be sitting here next year, in 2025, talking the same pish about like what Kevin Muscat? It's tragic. I don't even know what to say anymore, man. Nothing can fix what's happened here. It can't. It's not going to get fixed overnight. You've still got the same players in there. I'll say it again. Bring a manager in to the end of the season. Do not give out big contracts, and yeah, that might limit the quality of manager you can bring in. But I don't care, man. You know what I mean? You've brought in Clement, a guy that's won league titles elsewhere. It's not worked. In January, get rid of all the dead weight. Attempt. You know what I mean? Do something, because I do not want to see the same players playing week in, week out. We need youth. We need a different set of ideas. But the way things are going, guys, it's not going to be different ideas. It's just going to be the same old pish. So leave your thoughts down below. And it's going to get worse before it gets better.